Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Draft Day Sports College Basketball 2019. It's episode number 65, and we are all in at this point. Here's what I mean by that. First off, it's into the Conference A portion of the season, and coming off a Conference A title, it's a lot to live up to try to match that. Of course, as always, calendar very difficult within the conference, but we do open with a game against Utah, who are unranked, even though they are 8-3, so they've got to be just outside the rankings. But looking back on that non-conference schedule, we won 10 out of 11. The one loss at UNLV, 81-85. Difficult game that one was. But of course, that big news is that Charles Kennedy, torn MCL, out for a full calendar year. Or full year, not even calendar, that's full year from now. That's rough. We do have two top recruits coming in, but nowhere near the max of that. And so our depth chart without Kennedy is still really strong in the first five. 4 stars and above, every single one of them. Al Morrison, a 5-star guy, fantastic, looking great in that part. But then we have decent depth, but we don't have great depth. With Kennedy, we had a 4-star guy on the bench with a bunch of 3.5-star guys behind him. And that was fantastic. But now all of a sudden, we're not quite the same team without him. Not quite. We didn't have just enough depth to be able to afford a loss like that, I don't think. So I am nervous about the season going forward. But like I said, we are all in. And here's the reason why we're all in. If you have not seen it already, Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 2020 has been released. I have started a series on that. That series is as a return to the Great Northwest by the Seattle Supersonics. So I have taken on the Seattle Supersonics as a franchise. They are formerly the Sacramento Kings, and the Kings were completely gutted, or at least I'm still working on gutting that team. Like I did for this series, as we do get the win on that one, 72-37. Wow. Okay. Plus 38 by Jeff Brooker. A plus 35 by Al Morrison. That is beautiful. And look at it score-wise. I mean, it's not like we racked up crazy amounts of points, though. Al Morrison, 8 for 14, 2 for 7 beyond the arc. 5 rebounds, 9 assists, couple blocks. Look at all those blocks. 13 blocks in the game. Plus 7 in turnovers. I like it. 18% from the field. 18% from the field. That's right. Yes. Okay. So he opened with a win. Florida also beating up on Kansas. Oregon beating Nevada on the road in 11-12 matchup there. North Carolina beating Miami on the road. Duke winning at home. Cincinnati beating number 4 Syracuse at home. So Cincinnati, who are perennially ranked, not currently, showing that maybe they are worthy of some votes. Maryland beating Memphis, and Texas Tech upsetting Oklahoma at home in a tight contest. With that release and bringing the Sonics back, I need to make some space on my list of 10 games, and this is the one that's going to be going. So these are going to be the final 2 episodes of this series. So it's now all or nothing. We've made it to a national championship game after all these episodes, all these seasons. When you throw in 65 episodes right now, a 66th to come, plus about 70 or 80 on the previous Draft Day Sports College Basketball 2017, where we initially started this series at. Next up, Oregon on the road. Top 20 matchup. We're 11-1. They are 11-2. No time to watch these games. Unfortunately, I don't know what that score was. I want to say that they beat us by 1.77-76, but I'm not sure that that's what I saw. They did win. They beat us, and it was actually even worse than that. It was 77-69. So there you go. We went into the halftime with a pretty decent lead and came out in the second half, and we were put down. Wow, even on that poor performance, both teams 43% from the field. Well, we couldn't take care of business. 20 turnovers. We had more turnovers than them. That's the first time in a long time that we've had a negative there. Justin Smith off the bench with a minus 32. 1 for 7 from the field. That is exactly what I was talking about, though. Just moments ago, how we no longer have the depth with Charles Kennedy missing. Jim Ross was a plus 24, completely dominant, 17 points, 11 boards in the double-double effort. Fouled out of the game, though. Jerry Smith fouled out of the game. Fouls were very much in favor of them. Yeah, okay. 10 free throw attempts to 31. So, actually, we beat up on them. Enough so to the point where they got help from the refs. Unfortunate road loss there. Florida winning on the road. North Carolina beating Kansas at home. Nevada loses again, this time to Utah. Duke winning a close one against Cincinnati. Syracuse getting blown out again. Boy, their rank's going to drop a lot. And that's the first week in conference play done. But after all these episodes, after this long series, and thank you for those that are still here, still watching, have made it all the way to the end, and those in the weeks and months and years to come that do eventually come to this series and check it out. For those that have made it this far, thank you. And we are so close. So close to getting that first national championship and finding that success. I'm nervous, though, that this is not going to be the year. I felt like this was going to be the year until Kennedy went down, and then I'm kind of going, I don't know.
You have new mail.
I don't know now if we can pull it off, and I think that game against Oregon highlights exactly my point. Starting lineup, were fantastic. The bench were destroyed by Oregon. And then we go from a lead to a minor loss there at the end after those guys fouled out, meaning those points all came in the final couple minutes with my bench guys on the court against their starters not able to hang in there. We've got Nevada at home. We actually move up a few spots in the rankings. Our game must have already passed. I love the new, one of the new features in the pro basketball game is as you're simming through the games like this, it slows it down when it sims your game. So you actually get the score posted for a little bit of time. It's something that you toggle on, but it's a great addition. Because I have no idea what happened in that last game, even though we won. Let's get back to it. 77-64. Now, I do need to make some rapid progress so that we can get this all in these last 2 episodes. So this episode, I intend on getting all the way through the conference schedule. And depending on how we're looking, Miami on the road. Miami's just 8-7. It's the kind of game that should be a win, but it is on the road. I did not see our score pop up. It might have been the first one that was there. Not sure. So still waiting on that score to come back. But road wins are always tough. But I think we are good enough to get road wins against a team like that, and we do. Okay, for a second I thought it was a 1-point victory. No, actually it was quite comfortable. 81-60 in the end. The way we've taken care of a lot of teams, we can make a deep run in the tournament. I'm just not sure if this year, without Kennedy, that we're strong enough to compete for the national championship. Final Four, maybe. Elite Eight, I think we're definitely good enough to get that far in. But with it being necessary to get all the way through, I have to push tempo. Depending on how good we're doing by the end of the season, we may push into the conference tournament a little bit, just so that we can slow it down on that next episode for that push for a national championship, as it will be our last. Really sad to say that, especially when I know we are so close now to competing regularly for a national championship and potentially getting one with such a long amount of time invested into making that happen and getting there. Next opponent is Kansas. They're ranked number 10. They're 12-4 overall, so that's going to be a pretty big matchup, but we are at home.
You have new mail.
So it's certainly a game that can be won. Now, let's see. There we go. Kansas. Let's see how we match up. Ooh, see, now this is what I'm talking about. We are the underdog now. So, despite the quality we have, they're the favorites. We've got Florida after that. Florida still at now 17-1 and heavy favorites. Look at the quality they've... Al Morrison is a 5-star player, and yet Freeman is the advantage. Yikes. That is... and then North Carolina after that, too. So... 3 straight games that are going to be a major, major challenge for us. We only gained 1 spot in the rankings, only 15th. RPI is 14th. So they're still not looking at us in a very favorable light. Guessing you saw the score flash by. I missed it. Again. It's about 3 times in a row that I've missed the score flashing on by. Oh, we got the home win, though. 78-56 against Kansas. Florida losing at Oregon. Oregon solidly into the top 10 now. Nevada winning. Duke winning on the road. They're winning big, so they're looking really strong this year as well. Maryland losing at home to Georgia Tech. Syracuse still ranked 11th after all these losses. They just lost to Oklahoma. By a lot. North Carolina barely beating Utah on the road. And they're up to number 4 in the rankings. Cincinnati is ranked now, as I thought they might be. Oh, come on. Florida. It's on the road at 17-2. Florida. Them with a major advantage for this game. So we might drop another one here. But what a statement win it would be if we could get it. Season defining. Oh gosh, who was that? Real life men's, what was it, Duke? Just had an upset here, second week of the season against a school that most people would never have heard of. Ooh, I think we lost by like 17. I want to say that was 69-52 Florida. So here comes our second conference loss and third loss of the season. Still have a really good record at this point. And losing at the number 1 team in the nation is not bad, I suppose. But it wasn't as bad as I thought. It was 59-52. Hit neutral site and take that advantage, the home court advantage away, and maybe that's a victory. And our bench actually didn't play poorly this time. But we were just 29% from the field, but we held them to 35. So both teams' defenses making a big impact. Free throws having a huge impact. We got 23 attempts to their 16, but they made 11 to our 10. So, who do we need to keep after practice for a few hours taking shots? Pretty much everyone. Tim Thomas, the only one off the hook. So 4-2, still 14-3 overall. It's still a really solid record. But looking at the top, right, you've got Louisville 17-1. But Florida, Duke, North Carolina, Pitt all looking really strong. And we're starting to see some others fall off. Wake Forest just took their third loss. Michigan State and Kansas both have 5 losses already. Oregon with just 4. Syracuse with 6 losses now, and yet still ranked 11th. Here's Seton Hall, who is similar in real life. So we have not seen much of Seton Hall at all, but here they are. Emerging in 13th, and I think their real life ranking right now, as I'm recording this, is 13th. In fact, I'm recording this the day before the release of this video. I think the day of release of this video, current men's 11th ranked Oregon Ducks is going to be playing 13th ranked Seton Hall. Look at that. There they are in the rankings. It's very early in the season, though.
You have new mail. You have new mail.
There's new mail. Okay, North Carolina. It is at home. It is a home game, but that doesn't mean much. It could have been a win. I want to say we won by 12, 68-56. Maybe my eyes are getting a little bit better and I'm keeping up with the score flashes. Hopefully I am. Latest rankings have us 15th yet again. And yes, we did win that. 5-2 now. Florida beating Nevada on the road. Tight contest. Kansas losing big to Utah. It was 68-54. Oregon winning against Miami. Duke beating Oklahoma on the road. Syracuse winning their first game in forever. Somehow still ranked ahead of us. You see a real quick drop-off behind us. Outside of Boston College at 14-3. Tulane at 16-4. There's nothing else. These are all 5 and 6 loss teams, 7 loss teams. So how it is we're behind Syracuse at 14-6 is beyond me. How their RPI would be any higher than ours with all these in-conference games. 7 of them already played and just 2 losses. But our non-conference schedule is not the strongest, so I get it, I suppose. We'll move up here over time as long as we keep up a similar record if we're, say, 10-4 in conference as we head into the final 2 conference games. Texas Tech at home. I'd almost like this on the road because that's a winnable game on the road. 82-51. Somehow in my mind, it wanted to say the words triple digits. No, triple digits is not the victory. 30 points. Uh-oh, injured player. We have an injury, folks. Sprained finger, Tim Thomas, 11 days. Thank you, no worries. Okay. Syracuse lost again. Kansas has 7 losses now. Those two need to start plummeting down. Michigan State needs to start coming down as well, 15-6. Those 3 programs should be going backwards while we go up ahead of those 3. And then you're starting to see a real clear divide from the top 12 teams to everybody else. If they would get those rankings right in terms of those win-losses. But at this point, nothing doing. Next opponent is Oklahoma. They are ranked. They're not that far behind us in the rankings. They are also just 14-7. It will not be an easy game. But it could happen.
You have new mail. You have new mail.
I'm sure this is all... Ooh, not. Quarterfinalist, Jim Ross. Nice, okay. Where is he on that list, Mr. Jim Ross? There he is, 13th. Okay. Player out of Pitt is number 1. Reevaluation of the rankings. Look at a little bit. Our Michigan State still not moving anywhere. Kansas, their losses finally hurting them a little bit. They drop out of the top 10. Syracuse finally drops below us to 15th and gets into that zone that they belong in. West Virginia also kind of sliding up with us. RPI is now 3rd, by the way. So those couple wins right there were big ones for us, as our RPI just jumped up a whole bunch, yeah. Words are my friend. No, so we've moved ahead of quite a few teams there, and I think I saw a comfortable victory actually in the flash, but I'm not sure if that was the case. It looked like 20 points. Now I'm liking this record, 7-2. That's a really, really good start. Florida has dropped to number 2, even though Duke has slipped to 20-3, and Florida has only lost just that one game. It's a little surprising. Thomas still with a sprained finger. Now, if you've ever played competitively the sport, no matter what the level was, you would know that every season there are jammed, sprained, broken fingers, whichever. Maryland at home, that should be an easy one. And I think it was to a little closer than some of the games we've played, but that's okay. Anyway, they happen. They happen in high frequency, so it is not uncommon at all. And every season it occurs. As a coach, though, my team right now, oh gosh, we've had 7 or 8 this season. Jammed fingers sprained fingers, 2 broken fingers. It's been a weird one for that. It has been a bit of a strange one. Where was that last one? Oh, that was kind of tight, 71-60. I did see the right score there. Luckily, we had our bad day against Maryland, and we're still able to come out of it ahead. Duke loses to North Carolina on the road by 20. What was the Florida beats Cincinnati by almost 20. Memphis just 7-14 this season. Holy cow, the Tigers are struggling. But with an RPI at 3 and rattling off a couple more wins, you'd think we've got to start pushing top 10. I have no idea how at 18-3 we're not in the top, say 7 right now.
You have new mail.
But through 10 games, we are looking pretty good. But 10 games is also a really good measuring stick. So let's go ahead and hold that stick up for a moment and see where we're at. Miami just 1-9. Memphis 2-8 in conference, as is Nevada. Maryland just 3-7. We've got a very clear bottom group. And then a whole bunch of teams that are struggling at 4-6. And then look at this massive divide. Cincinnati 7-3, Oregon 8-2, Duke 8-2, North Carolina 8-2, we are 8-2, and Florida is 9-1 in the conference. That is something I have not seen in a long time. It could be clear who the 6 best teams are. Kansas should be in that group. Syracuse should be in that group. And those two, the only remaining teams that are still ranked. These top teams are beating up so much on the bottom teams this season that this is the fewest Conference A teams that I've ever seen ranked. Florida, number 1 in the RPI. We are all over the top 8 in RPI now. Cincinnati, that one exception, the only team outside of the top 8. So our top 5 are just littering the top of the rankings. And then Cincinnati coming from behind. Remember, they struggled a little bit in the non-conference, but they are playing well now. So, Memphis, on the road. They might be 7-14, but that is definitely a must-win game. Can't lose to a team like that if you expect to win a national championship, right? Anytime, Conference A, anytime you go on the road, nothing should be a given. It's never a given, but that's as close as you're going to get. $91.60. Oh, $71.60. Okay. For a moment, that was like, wow. Jim Ross, 3 for 15. So he really struggled, but he got it done at the line. Still ended up with the double-double, as did Brooker. Florida losing another one. Syracuse starting to bounce back, trying to get into the mix. Maybe they had an injury that really held them back. It's possible. Next one, though, we again go on the road to one of those top couple of teams. We're not getting them at home. We're getting them on the road. And that is just a tall order. So next up is Duke, number 2 rank in the nation, 21-4 overall. And we are going to their house. And meanwhile, you're seeing other teams like St. Joe's out of nowhere. They weren't even ranked a couple weeks ago, but their record has them jump from nothing to 12th. Meanwhile, we've been in the teens all season long, getting the job done all season long with just those couple losses, and yet we're not climbing the rankings. Not really, anyway. I mean, we've finally hit 11th, but is a loss here going to drop us down? Probably. I think we lost by 22. I want to say that was an 84-62 scoreline. Again, if I saw it correctly. And again, with Hooray, I'm doing better on catching them than I was at the start of the episode. Yes, we did lose, and did I see the score correctly? I did. So sad. Ho-hum. Morrison with 15, but only 6 assists on the day. Even Ross only managed 7 rebounds. We shot 30% from the field. We're good, but I think we're second tier good. I don't think we are elite in the terms of the first few teams in the nation. Florida and Duke in particular. Maybe we're as good as North Carolina and Oregon. And in that case, we can possibly see a Final Four. Oh, wow. Florida. Nearly losing back-to-back. Both games were on the road. But 1-point victory over Oklahoma. Well, that 9-3 is going to set us back a little bit. Next game, home, Cincinnati. Good bounce back opportunity. Number 17 team in the nation, 17-8 overall, and losing to the number 2 team in the nation. Right, it shouldn't hurt us too much if we beat Cincinnati, especially if we beat them comfortably. If it's close, I could see us dropping down the rankings slightly, especially if St. Joe's is still winning and West Virginia is still winning. See us down to maybe 13th. If they put us below Kansas, though,
You have new mail.
somebody's going to go out in the streets and riot. Not that I condone that sort of behavior, but it's going to happen somewhere. Better not be one of you.
You have new mail.
Talking about that theoretical. So we actually move up in the rankings. Okay. Well, I can see why. Oregon lost 2 games. Michigan State and all those losses. West Virginia lost a game. So teams around us lost. Seton Hall lost both games this week. They were 21-2. Now they're 21-4. Yes, I want to say that was the record. And they only dropped to 9th. Hey. Okay, fine. Don't load anything for me. Okay. Here we go. Cincinnati. 80 to something. It didn't look like a big number, but I didn't catch what it was. I want to say it started with a 6, but it disappeared before I saw the other number. I saw our 80, and my eyes flicked that other way. 10th win in the conference. It was 60-63. Florida back to winning ways. Syracuse back to losing ways. Duke squeezing out a victory at Oregon. That's what I'm talking about. That's elite, right? Top team losing to the super team. I'm not sure if North Carolina's super team this season or not. I think they might be in my grouping. But only just. I think they might possibly be in between. But I definitely think we might be on our way to maybe a 2 seed. Possibly. I think we can get into the top 8 still. Or a 3 seed for the tournament. Which could put us in line for at least an Elite 8. Maybe a Final 4. Depending on what we're up against. But if Florida and Duke are still there late in the tournament, I think we're in a bit of trouble. 20 wins on the season, 10 in the conference already. So it's a good year regardless. RPI at 4. RPI is definitely looking better than the rank. And I'm not sure why we're not getting the respect this year, especially considering preseason rank was the highest we've had. And we seem to be living up to expectations. So what's wrong? I do not know. Utah, 15-9. Still a good Utes team. This is not a bad team. This will not be an easy win, by any means, and I'd say we only have 55% chance, maybe 60 is pushing it. Score flash by, didn't catch it, so we're going to have to wait. I'm going to have to wait on this one. What it is, where it went. Well, let's see some stats while we're at it. Ross, leading scorer, 14 points a game. Morrison, 6 assists a game. Ross is at 9 rebounds. Brooker's at 2 blocks. As a team, we get a lot. Steals, Ross with 2 a game. We forced so many turnovers. And that was not a victory, was it? No, it was not. We got our butts handed to us in the first half. We fought back in the second and lost by a small margin. Neither team shot well, but they got a crap ton of free throws. We actually did well from the line today, but we did not get there as much. -5 on rebounds, -6 on the fouls called, +5 on the turnovers. Just 5 blocks, though. Told you that was not going to be a given in any way whatsoever, but that loss does hurt us a little bit. Next up will be Oregon. Chance for some revenge. We've got them at home. But at 10-4, let's see how those standings look with just 2 to play here in the season. So we've made it just about to the end. And yes, this looks about right to me now. So Cincinnati has recovered. They're up to 8-6. Utah has recovered to 8-6. Syracuse and Kansas still slipping. Somehow Utah not ranked. Just outside the rankings. Beating us could bump them back into it. There you go. Cincinnati 8-6. And then Oregon at 9-5. We are 10-4. We can separate us from them in the pack here in a little bit. And then there we are, kind of right there with North Carolina and Oregon, just as I've been kind of saying all along. And then Duke and Florida, right there at the top. Florida's still perfect at home. Just 9 games on the road for them. Okay. Well, let's get back to it. 2 games left. Points per game, 24th in the nation. Defense is 5th in the nation. We're averaging 15 points a game on the plus side. That's pretty big. Assists, number 1 in the nation. Blocks is number 3. Steals is number 3. Rebounds, even that's top 10. And the turnovers, 5th in the nation. So, very, very good in that regard. Defensively, though, we are giving up way too many rebounds, 280. Now, some of that, though, that ranking, right, and why there's so many, is because we're forcing a ton of misses. So when we're forcing a ton of misses, there's going to be rebounds. We're +4 in that department per game. So we are out-rebounding our opponents. There's just a lot of rebounds out there. Now, the beautiful thing is 18 turnovers a game is good enough for 3rd in the nation. And blocks at 8th, though. That's not so good. We're getting blocked a little too much. Almost as much as we do block opponents. So just 2 to go here. And let's see. So still number 10 in the nation. I think Florida and Duke are firmly entrenched with these last 2 games to play. They will have a number 1 seed. North Carolina looks like they'll have a number 1 seed. Let's see what happens in this revenge game. 71-59. If my eyes did not deceive me, that was 71-59. We get revenge on the Ducks. So sorry. It's my alma mater. But that's a good victory for us. Moving forward. Yes, we got it. Okay. Nevada. Ooh, so here you go. Another tough road test. Not an easy team. but a team that's a little bit lower down, right? We should be winning that. No upsets at the top. North Carolina takes care of business too, so we're definitely looking at a regular season placing of 4th with 1 to play. After beating Oregon, that put us 2 games clear with 1 to play, so regardless of what happens in the last game, our regular season standing will be 4th place. North Carolina still 1 game ahead of us. Technically, we could still battle for 3rd. And we beat them, didn't we? At home. 2 of our losses on the road to Florida and Duke. All 4 of our losses on the road. Here we go. Last game of the regular season. I think I saw a score, but I'm not certain. I want to say we put up 83. That's usually enough. It was enough. Oh no. Bad timing. Injury. 2 injuries. 84-69. Took care of business. Got the job done. Finished off Florida beating North Carolina, so we're equal on record. So maybe we did finish 3. Duke over Syracuse, and that's what I was saying. I think we're kind of just about North Carolina's wheelhouse, but I just don't think Florida or Duke. But maybe in a single game, right? We could be better. But double injuries. Al Morrison, luckily, sore hand, 1 day. He'll be okay. Sprained toe for Nigel Porter. 13 days, though. It's going to take a little time for him to recover from that. Depending on how bad it is, right? Sprained toe could really, really affect your ability to pivot or get off the ground. So it can be pretty debilitating depending on how bad it is. And usually 12, 13 days would be pretty bad for about a week. And then after that, that next week, you could kind of play through it, not be 100%. You could be 85, 90% of normal, but you're not going to get quite as high in the air. You're not going to be able to pivot quite as well, cut left, right. But otherwise, not notice it so much. But that first week, depending on how bad it is, that first week could be pretty rough on a player. So our final regular season standing is 22-5, 12-4 in the conference. And let's go ahead and check that out, where we are. And yes, that is good enough for 3rd, but 2 games behind those leaders at 14-2. I don't know how they did against one another, but you would imagine if they played each other twice, they probably split and only took 1 loss each otherwise. So both of them, they're beatable. I mean, Florida's had 3 losses. Duke's had 4 losses. And then you've got to contest with Louisville and Pitt and North Carolina. Indiana all looking really good. Somehow, Seton Hall and St. Joe's go above us in the rankings, even though neither of them was ranked this season. They're playing in lower, smaller conferences. But I'm sure they were leading the way within their conference. Probably first place, maybe with a loss or 2. So, I don't know. I don't know why they ended up above us in the rankings, why Wake Forest is above us, why we're not about 7th. We could still be a 2 seed, but unless we win the Conference A tournament, I'm not sure that's going to happen. We get knocked out in quarterfinal. No way it's going to happen. Semifinal? Probably not. If we lose in the final, then yeah, we could probably potentially be a 2 seed. As long as we're not below a 3, though. If we're 3 or above, we're in pretty good shape. Don't want to be a 4 seed. I don't want to go up against Florida or Duke earlier. But with the regular season now behind us, I'll get things ready for that conference tournament. We'll speed through that conference tournament the way we have through the remainder of the regular season this year, so that we can focus our attention on the national championship tournament. We have won a Conference A title. So we've won a title in almost every single conference. No, that's not true. There was plenty of years where I was top 4, was promoted without winning a title. But we have won a lot of conference titles along the way. In this playthrough, is this the right one? Yes. In this playthrough, we have 6 conference championships. I think most of the 18 tournament appearances have been in this playthrough. But I don't know. I think Florida and Duke are just too dang good this year. So the best hope we have is somebody else playing them earlier in the tournament and pulling off the upset. Because I think head-to-head, we really just aren't going to be quite strong enough. But we'll see. We'll see what we can do. We still have it all to play for. One more episode to go. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Thanks for tuning in. I will see you next time. Bye for now.